trip.
A trip? Where did you make the trip? To where?
I don't know. Someplace in Missouri.
All right. Now I'm going to snap my fingers and you'll remain asleep, but you'll be on that trip to Missouri again. And you'll be on that trip. Were you on a train, plane, or car?
No, car.
Car. All right. Now here you are in the car, and you'll be on that trip to Missouri when I snap my fingers. And then when I snap it again, well, you'll be able to tell me all about it. Now, Marcella, wasn't that a beautiful trip? Hmm?
No.
Didn't like it? I thought you said you liked it so much. But the beautiful part of the trip was there, wasn't it?
The trip was great.
But someone was along that you didn't like, was that it? All right, or something happened. I won't go into that. Marcella, in just a moment when I have you open your eyes, that anesthesia will be in the original places twice as strong as it was before. That is where I put it when I first had you in this state. It will be back in the same arm and in the same ear when I have you open your eyes. It'll be there complete. You'll have no feeling there at all. But you won't remember that I gave you these suggestions. But you will react to them after I have you open your eyes. Now open your... when I stop talking, you wake up. Did you have good stools? Do you remember anything we talked about?
Yeah.
What?
About a trip.
To Missouri. What part of Missouri was it in?
It was Wingfoot Lake.
Wingfoot Lake? You didn't remember that before, did you?
I don't remember where it was, though.
Aye?
I don't remember where it was. Other than, what part of the state.
Beautiful scenery?
Big dam.
Uh-huh. Tell me, how does your right arm feel?
Like nothing.
Like nothing, huh? And how does your left ear feel?
Can't feel it either.
Can't feel it either. All right. Now, the thing I want to show you about this thing is that you can either draw it from place to place, or you can make it jump from place to place. Suppose, for example, I wanted to transfer that anesthesia from the arm, where it is, to the complete length of the leg. All I would have to do would be to say, I'm going to snap my fingers and watch this happen. It'll actually happen. I'll snap my fingers now, and the anesthesia will transfer from the right arm to the entire length of the right leg. How's your leg?
Tingles.
Mm-hmm. Getting numb. Mm-hmm. Now, because I've compounded it, that anesthesia will be terrific. Terrific. I don't want to ruin her socks, so I can't use the Alice clamps. But just take her word for it. It feels pretty wooden by now, doesn't it? Huh? As though it just isn't there, huh? Now, suppose I wanted it to jump from the right leg to the left leg. It jumped, didn't it?
It sure tingles.
Sure tingles, yeah. All right. Now, you can put that anesthesia any place in the body that you want to at all. Doesn't matter where you want the anesthesia. Suppose you wanted the abdomen anesthetized. It could be anesthetized the same way. Suppose you wanted the back anesthetized. Or suppose there was orthopedic surgery to be done on the spine. Awfully nice anesthesia that you get by just a snap of the fingers, and wham, it's right there. And so I just want you to know this. Now, I'm going to remove the state entirely from her. And, Marcel, you've been a wonderful patient this afternoon, a wonderful subject, and I want to thank you for it. And when I have you, well, I'll just say that I'll snap my fingers and all the anesthesia will be gone. Now watch. Where'd it go?
I can feel it going, though.
You didn't feel it? You don't feel it going?
I can feel it going.
You can feel it going. Oh, I wondered. No, it's gone, right?
Not almost. It's going.
All right, sure. She gets wonderful anesthesia, and so it's kind of slow in leaving her, but it's leaving. All gone now?
It's like your feet didn't sleep.
Yeah, sure. You can feel that. You can feel that flow and everything else coming back in. Now, I'm going to remove. Just close your eyes, and I'm going to remove all the suggestions I gave you this afternoon, and so that you can always have this state anytime you need it. You can go as deeply as you want in it. And when I have you open your eyes, you're going to feel better than you've felt all day and all week. Now watch how good you feel when those eyes open. All right, open your eyes. How do you feel?
Wonderful.
I see. You should take a motion picture of this girl. She's a terrific, terrific subject to have before a class like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, let's take a little time out for questions here, because I can almost imagine every doctor here wanting to ask questions. Now, wait a minute, how do you do it? And so on. Because it is done so rapidly. An idea of the rapidity with which it is done was given to you by Dr. Burpo without my saying a word a few minutes ago, when he said that he took Marcella, the first time he'd ever worked with her in this state, and in about 2 minutes got her down to the state where I had her now. Now remember, so far as I was concerned, I had never worked with her before, I don't think. Did I? She wasn't here last year, was she? No. But this is possible with any person in about 2 minutes. You don't need a conditioned subject for this. I worked with her only because I want you to see the state very quickly and to let you know its possibilities. But so far as that goes, there is a person in this room who couldn't have that state if they wanted the state. Now, Pat, does that make you feel ambitious enough to really want to try it again?
Sure it does.
Now, come on up here, and if you follow orders, you'll have it. If you don't follow orders, you won't have it. It's as simple as that. But don't be nervous about it. There's nothing I'm going to do that should make you nervous or to put any worries into your mind. All I want to do is to have you so good at your studies that you won't have to worry about those exams coming up. Now look, if I can do this for my son, and use it for that purpose on my son, I certainly ought to be able to use it that way on you. Is that right?
Yes.
So if it works pretty well for him, we can depend upon that it ought to work pretty well for you. My son is the kind of a boy who has always been the sort of a kid who will study like the devil, and then when it comes time for final exams, it isn't that he can't take the exam, but he gets sick before the exam. So that when he goes to take his exam, he'll enter with a fever of 102 or 103, and then because he knows the questions and he knows the answers, but if I don't help him with suggestion beforehand, he is in a dither when it comes time, examination time, because he's afraid of getting sick, and he's afraid of having to answer those questions while he's not feeling well. Because rather than go over to the infirmary and tell him he's sick, that would make him seem like he's a neurotic. We're all neurotics, more or less, and the minute that he accepts the idea that everybody has their own emotional problems and that he has to solve his, the more adjusted he will be. The same way with you. And the same way with me. You know what I mean? Learn to accept your problems and learn to correct those problems. Learn to solve those problems. And then the neurotic features of your particular problems disappear, and you find yourself a very normal individual. So, let's see if we can't help you solve some of them today, huh? Take a long, deep breath and close your eyes. And when I tell you to relax, I don't mean halfway relax. Do what Marcella did. Relax. You know? Now close your eyes. Now in just a moment, I'm going to have you open and close your eyes again. You're going to relax 10 times more than you've already relaxed. Now open your eyes. Now close them. Now really relax. Now test them. Make sure you can't open them. That's right. Now, do it the third time, and you'll have complete physical relaxation if you followed orders. But be sure you followed orders, Pat. Now open your eyes. Now close them. Now let yourself really go. Lose all those inner fears that you've got. There isn't a fear in the world that you have to have. All you're here for is to get a little help, that's all. Now, you see what I mean? What a difference. Now, Pat, I'm going to lift your hand again, and the oddest thing is going to happen. You'll be so relaxed you won't be able to think of your telephone number. Watch this. No, the one at home either. Now try to think of the telephone number at home, and you'll find it. It's just completely gone. Can't find it at all, can you? Oh, see, so you see you can relax. No, Pat, it's when you relax like this that we can really help you. Now, Pat, in just a moment, I'm going to have you open your eyes. And the funniest thing is, you still won't remember that telephone number. And the harder you search for it, the less it'll be there. You won't recall even that I've given you this suggestion, but you'll find that that'll happen. Now, when I snap my fingers, you'll open your eyes. You'll feel wonderful. There you are. How do you feel?
Fine.
Good. Pat, where do you live in Chicago, or that area?
I live in Aledo, Illinois. It's not quite in Chicago. It's about 80 miles from Chicago.
About 80 miles from Chicago. And what's the address there?
803 South Walnut Street, Aledo, Illinois.
What's your telephone number there? Can't remember. That's fine. All right. Now we're getting someplace. Close your eyes again. Now, Pat, you'll find that you're just feeling so good as you relax deeper and deeper and deeper with every breath you take. And you're going to relax deeper and deeper and deeper because you see now when you're not fighting, you're not scared, you're beginning to achieve just what I want. Now, Pat, in a little while, I'm going to have you open your eyes, and the oddest thing is going to happen. Anytime you see me take a puff on a cigarette, you will instantly fall into a sound, deep sleep. The same sleep that you have at night. It's going to be just as deep. In fact, it's going to be so very, very deep that it will even surprise you. Now, you won't remember consciously that I gave you this suggestion, but anytime I lift my cigarette to take a puff, that will happen this afternoon. Now, when I have you open your eyes, you just won't remember anything we've talked about, but you will be guided by the suggestions. All right, you can open your eyes now. Pat, what were we talking about just now?
I don't know.
Fine. Now, I want you to see... Now, why am I going to attach the stake to him when his respirations are above what they should be? This boy has been a very worried boy. Worried because he's a very sincere kid. His father gives me a picture of a boy who's trying so hard, and he's come through school so beautifully. But he's one of those kids who at time of examination goes all to pieces. And he begins to go into the, almost panic. So that when he faces an examination, even though his daily marks might be very wonderful, and though he may be so prepared for the examination, by the time he goes to the examination, it's absolute torture for him to take these things. There's a cause for that. Someplace he got a scare, and he's abreacting to that scare at a level below consciousness. Now we're going to use the hypnosis attached to sleep to reach his line below the level of consciousness. That is below conscious awareness. And remove that fear which keeps him from facing an examination properly. Now there's a cause for that fear. Believe me, there's a cause in my son too, and if he would only let me work with him. He's always so far away from me, thousands of miles away. But if I could work with that kid, just the same as I'm going to try to work with this boy, I'm sure if I could find the cause for the fear and remove the fear, he would be just like this boy will be, I hope, in a little while, able to face those examinations without a worry in his mind. You can hear me, Pat, but you won't wake up. You can hear me, but you won't wake up. I'll know that you're hearing me when this finger which I'm going to touch begins to move. I'll know that you're hearing me, but you won't wake up. You'll hear me, but you won't wake up. You can't wake up, but you can hear me, and I'll know you're hearing me when this finger begins to move. And that's right, that finger is moving, so I know you're hearing me. Now, Pat, I'm going to be able to talk to you now, and you're going to remain asleep, and you're going to talk to me in your sleep. And you're going to be able to tell me things that you'd never be able to tell me when you were wide awake. You won't wake up while I'm talking to you. And afterwards, we'll decide whether it's best for you to let these memories come forth in your conscious mind. Now, Pat, first I want you to tell me, but you will remain fast and sound asleep. How long have you been having troubles with examinations? You can answer, but you won't wake up.
I think my sophomore year in high school.
Your sophomore year in high school. Now, when I snap my fingers, you won't wake up, but you'll be back at your freshman year in high school. And it'll be final examination time, and I'll be talking to you, and you'll be answering me, but you won't wake up. Pat, you've got to take your final examinations these days. You've taken a couple of them already. Are you much nervous about them?
Yes.
You are, even in your freshman year, huh? Why are you nervous about them, Pat? What happened that makes you nervous about them?
Having trouble with algebra.
Having trouble with algebra. That's the only examination you're afraid of, huh?
Yes.
Well, no, you're having trouble with algebra, but have you studied?
Yes.
And are you ready for the examination?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Then, how have your marks been all school year?
I had B's.
Mm-hmm. B's. Uh-huh. There's B's and a couple of C's. But you've been studying all year. You know the subject as well as any kid, don't you?
Yes.
And now, when you take this examination, what is there about this examination? You're right in the midst of the examination now when I snap my fingers, but you won't wake up and you'll be able to talk to me. Are you worried now about this algebra examination, Pat? What's the matter? What's on that paper that you're scared of?
I don't know what's on the paper.
Well, I mean on the examination. Is the examination written on a piece of paper?
Yes.
Take a look at that piece of paper. Tell me, are you particularly worried about anything on there? Are there any questions you can't answer?
No.
You can answer all those questions. Now, there's a funny thing. I want you to look at question number 1. Now, this question number 1 that you're looking at, that's easy, isn't it?
Yes.
Sure. You're going to be able to answer that all right, aren't you?
Yes.
All right. Look at question number 2. How's question number 2?
Simple.
Simple. Be able to answer that all right. And there's no reason for your fear, is there? Look at question number 3. How is it?
It's a work problem.
It's a work problem. How is it? Easy?
Well, it's tough, but it's hard.
It's tough, but it's not hard. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
All right. And it doesn't frighten you, does it? All right. Look at question number 4. Anything there?
Mm-hmm.
What's there?
It's a factorial division problem.
It's what kind of a division problem?
Factorial division.
Factorial division problem. Well, that's not tough, is it? No. You'll be able to get that all right. Huh? Look at question number 5. How's this one?
It's a multiplication.
Multiplication problem of what?
Simple.
Not hard. Oh, so we got through 6, and we know darn well that if we get through 6, we get through the rest. Now look at 7. How's 7?
It's not difficult.
You're not scared of that one, are you? No. You haven't been scared of any of them so far, have you?
No.
Now look at 8. How's 8?
It's tricky.
It's tricky. This the one that's got you scared?
Yes.
Oh, now look. You get the first 7 ones. Suppose you get one that isn't so right. Is that going to mean so much? You can't expect to be perfect in all your answers. You know that the idea of a person getting 100 in every test is just about impossible. We'd have to be supermen to do that. Why is this number 8 scaring you so much? Does it count more than the other problem?
Yes.
It does. And in what way does it count more than the other problem?
We just got through with this on the chapter.
Just got through with this chapter on this, you mean?
Yeah, on this
Uh-huh.
problem.
Uh-huh. And
It involves signs.
it involves science.
Signs.
Science, uh-huh. And are you up on your signs all right?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Then you'll know that part of it anyhow, won't you? Uh-huh. And, now, anything else about this problem that's throwing you?
Problem isn't hard.
Problem isn't hard. In other words, it doesn't look nearly as hard now, does it?
No.
No. Is this the one that is scaring you?
Yes.
Isn't that odd? Now, what is there about this problem that's scaring you, Pat? Because we got to get that scare out of you so that you'll never be scared of another examination so long as you live. Now, what is there that's scaring you about this problem? Has somebody warned you about this problem? Has somebody...
Yes.
Who warned you about it?
Ziggy.
Who's Ziggy?
He's my teacher.
Yeah? And...
He's a football coach, and he's taught freshman algebra to us.
Uh-huh. And...
He told me he was going to give me a D in algebra because he didn't like the way I played football.
Oh, now we got out the whole cause. Was going to give him a D in algebra because he didn't like the way he played football. Now we're getting the cause. We're getting the cause. Can you see how a thing like this would frighten a little kid whose dad is a doctor and who's so ambitious to follow in his dad's footsteps? And getting a D in algebra might mean that he could never get into medical school. And even in his freshman year, he's worried sick about that. Now, remember that it isn't like when most of us studied when we were kids. Today, the situation is entirely different. You present a record of D's, and there's a million kids ahead of you that have records of B's and A's and things like that. And you get a D, your final mark in algebra, if that's your record. And, brother, you have just practically ruined your chances of going to college, or the college of your choice, in your freshman year in high school. And this is the reason for the fear, wasn't it? Huh?
I think so.
In fact, you know so now. But Ziggy didn't give you a D in algebra, did he?
No.
What did he give you?
I got tutoring. I got an A on the test.
You got an A on the test?
Yes, he gave me a C.
And he gave you a C. Was that a fair mark, do you think?
No.
It wasn't a fair mark. He gave him a C. Now, this is the type of thing that would cause a boy, ever afterwards, when he had a tough examination, to be afraid of that examination coming up and to abreact at a level below consciousness the fear that he had at the original traumatic situation. Here was a boy where the coach who teaches algebra says, I don't like the way you play football, so I'm going to give you a D in algebra. If ever there was a non sequitur, a non-thinking coach, a non-thinking teacher, that was certainly it. And frightened this boy just out of his wits, and then only gave him a C when he deserved far better. He got an A on the test, mind you. And during the whole year had been getting B's and C's. Now he gets an A on the test and gets C on as his final marking for the term. That wouldn't make anybody feel good, would it, Pat? Huh? But there's no need of that lasting as a fear. You know now where the fear came from, and you never knew it before, did you? See? But now that you know where that fear came from, you don't have to have that fear anymore, do you? No. You're not going to have that fear. Now we're going to take you back to 1959. And I'm talking to you just as though it's 1959, and I'm saying to you, Pat, have you studied this year?
Yes.
And have you studied intelligently and finely and well so that you know your subjects?
I think so, yes.
And have you been getting good daily and periodical grades?
Yes.
And now the examinations are coming up. This is one time you're going, and not one time, but from here on in, so long as you live, you're going in for those examinations with absolute confidence and no fear at all. And you know that to be true, don't you? Because we showed you where that fear came from, and you saw what a useless fear it was, that it doesn't serve any purpose. Isn't that right? So that when I have you aroused from this state, we can discuss at conscious level just the things that did cause you to have this fear at examination time. And you're not going to have that situation where you look at one problem and all goes blank. Because that's what's happened in the past, hasn't it?
Yes.
Well, now, don't you see why problem 8 in algebra is the one that did that? If ever you see a problem that stumps you for a little bit, I'll tell you how you can correct this so that you won't go blank. Just say problem 8 in algebra. And immediately you'll begin to chuckle and laugh, and you'll have the answer to it, and you'll have all the answers to all the other problems. None of that material is going to do a blackout or a dropout or a temporary amnesia for everything you've studied. You won't have such a thing. You'll know that what you've studied you're entitled to put down on the paper, and you'll be able to put it down, and you know that, don't you?
Yes.
All right. Now, I'm going to stop talking, and you're going to wake up. Well, Pat, you remember anything we talked about?
Yes.
All right, what did we talk about?
We talked about my fear of examinations
Mm-hmm.
freshman year.
Yeah, now you know where they came from, don't you?
Yes.
Did you ever realize that this was it?
No.
Never did. You know that you've got the confidence now?
I think so, yes.
Well, do you know, or do you...
Yes.
You know that you've got it. You're not going to have those fears anymore? You know that you won't. All right, I think you're going to be all right. You tell your dad when you get A's in all those examinations, you know, or I don't know how they mark you. How do they mark you? By score or by letters?
It's a compound thing here. It's a score, class average, but you still have to maintain a grade above 75.
Mm-hmm.
It's a class average above 75.
And what year in in school, are you?
I'm a freshman.
Freshman in
Pre-med.
pre-med school, sir.